Welcome back to the Lars Larson Show. It's First Amendment Friday night, and I mentioned to you that President Trump has sent a firm message to sanctuary cities. This is fulfilling another of his promises that a lot of us have wished for from other presidents as well, and that is sanctuary cities. I've been covering the illegal alien problem in America for about 25 years on this program, and I've always wished that both mayors and governors and presidents would finally tell sanctuary cities, if you decide to harbor illegal aliens, to aid and abet them in violating our laws, then I want you to see some consequences. And if your citizens are not happy when federal funds stop and they say, what do we need to do to change this? I would say you begin to help the federal government to be able to enforce American immigration laws. And I don't mean directly have your police or sheriffs go out and arrest illegal aliens, but at least when illegal aliens come into a jail or come into the law enforcement system, I think it's incumbent on local law enforcement to simply inform ICE, Immigrations and Customs Enforcement. We have somebody in custody who appears to be a foreign national who is not in the country legally. Sanctuary cities and sanctuary states have said we will not do that, and I think that's absolutely outrageous. Mike Howell joins me now, a former oversight counsel for the Department of Homeland Security and currently a senior advisor at the Heritage Foundation. Mike, welcome back to the program.
Thank you for having me.
At long last, a federal judge has said the president does have this authority. I think some of us were never in any doubt that he had the authority to say if sanctuary cities will not go along with the program and help out ICE, then they should be cut off from federal funds. Now a federal judge says he does have that authority. I'm sure the opponents will go ahead and appeal again, but the president says he's moving forward with withholding federal funds from sanctuary cities. Tell me how this is going to work out, and tell me what you expect to see as a result.
Right. Well, first off, it's absolutely insane. It's taken 3 years to get to this point. It just speaks to how much these federal activist resistance judges have been, thwarting this presidency and unfortunately taking powers they don't have to really act as if they're a bunch of mini little presidents. But what we have here is finally we got a good ruling from the Second Appeals Circuit, which is up in New York. Now, there are other circuits out there which are the exact opposite, that he cannot do this. So this is going, prime case to go to SCOTUS. But in New York City is the recipient of a ton of federal grant money, in the order of billions in total. This specific case focuses on law enforcement grant money and one specific grant program. Right. So they say Trump doesn't have to do a lot of money if they are going to comply with the sanctuary city policies. What they're doing in New York, and in fact, and in other sanctuary cities, is taking it one step further than sanctuary cities of 4 or 5 years ago. They're now saying that not only are we not going to hold somebody in the jail setting for ICE to get them, we're going to cut off your access to DMV databases and take other affirmative steps, like punishing law enforcement officers who do notify ICE, to kind of just disrupt ICE and then, force them to go out into the streets to arrest these criminal illegal aliens in the communities. When you do that in the communities as opposed to a controlled jail setting, that's bad for everybody involved. It's more dangerous for the community at large. It's more dangerous for the illegal alien community, and certainly for our ICE officers. So it's a lose-lose policy that's designed to basically just social posturing for these far left mayors. So they're fighting the president and the resistance, but it really hurts everybody.
Mike, I never understood it either, why it took 3 years, because as a reporter, I've covered, hundreds of occasions where the federal government, say National Highway Traffic Safety, will say we want every state to have a seatbelt law. Now, whether you agree with seatbelt laws or not, I wear a seatbelt whether it's the law or not. I just think it's smart. But whether you agree with the policy or not, if NHTSA says to states, either adopt a seatbelt law or you're going to lose some federal highway money. Most of the states fall in line. If they decide not to, they can explain to their citizens. But how in the world did we ever establish a legal precedent that once the Congress begins to appropriate money and then put it in the hands of the administration, say NHTSA or EPA or any of the other 1,001 federal agencies, that there is absolutely no latitude for those agencies to use it as a cudgel, as a carrot and stick, to say either go with the program or you lose the money. They do this in virtually every part of the government, don't they? So why is it even a question whether the executive branch has the right to do this?
Right. For better or for worse, and I'd argue on the large scale worse, our government system is designed in such a way where money goes from the state to the federal government, and then the federal government doles it back out via grant. Those grants have always had conditions that were competed for. There's no logical reason why cooperation with law enforcement can't be a condition for a law enforcement-related grant. But unfortunately, we've seen a complete breakdown in our judicial system. There's no shame in the resistance judges that were, appointed over the previous Democratic administration. It used to be the case where, if you were overturned on appeal, that was a black eye and kind of embarrassing. Now you get a lot of these liberal judges going back to their country clubs, getting, slapped on the back because, hell, they stood up the administration for a couple of days. They're part of the resistance. And the use of the nationwide injunction to achieve those goals is just blown up in the amount of time that's been used against this administration. We've never seen anything like it. It's a complete breakdown of the system. I think Gorsuch's opinion on this, where he called out kind of the abuse, hopefully shed some, prediction that the Supreme Court will finally start slapping these down a little bit.
Well, and really, it's a poke in the eye to every American citizen to say you have the right to choose a president. But if you choose a president who then carries out the very policies he ran on and made as a promise to you, the voter, that he would do these things, when he starts to do them, the bureaucracy, both the federal bureaucracy, the swamp, and the judges who are part of the swamp will do everything they can to shut him down, and you effectively have one president and several thousand judges, or at least several hundred of them, who have veto power over the choice of the American public. I think this is insulting to every single citizen who cares about representative government and our ability to choose a president.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And in no other place is it more damaging than immigration policy. The flows that this country has suffered of, illegal alien and mass migration into this country over recent years has resulted in major shifts. And every year that goes by works to the benefit of this political strategy by the left to flood this country for more votes. And so when a judge can hold something up for, a few years, we're talking 3/4 of a president's term, a change agent president's term, that does tremendous damage and further dilutes voting power of, Americans, in exchange giving it to, people coming in this country and birthright citizenship of illegal aliens and then later naturalized folks. It's really concerning, and it's a great threat to our sovereignty. And it's one of the most, shameless, nakedly political strategies to sacrifice this country's sovereignty for their political ends. And they'll do it even if it means releasing an illegal alien with a, extensive criminal record in New York will go on to rape and kill a 90-year-old grandma, which we just saw. And it's justified the means for the far left. And they aren't concerned with American citizen safety, their voting representation. They just want to do everything they can to resist for their political agenda.
Hey, Mike, I want you to speak to something in the last minute we've got. If the president can go forward with this, cut the funds off, assuming it makes some changes in sanctuary city policies, and I cited to my audience examples where threatening to cut the funds off or cutting the funds off actually has brought changes in other venues. Do American cities who then give up their sanctuary policies have the prospect of perhaps lower crime rates?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, if they start complying with ICE, we'll see great crime rate reduction. I mean, the recidivism of criminal illegal aliens released is way higher than the average. I mean, these folks go on to commit more crimes, and it's not garden variety crime. I'm not talking about selling lemonade without a permit. These are really, horrific crimes we see, and ICE has done a good job of publicizing them. So, I mean, if the administration can get states to change behavior finally on this, it is going to make for a much safer country.
Well, I got to tell you something, Mike. I cited the example to my audience. I said during the Bush administration, there were school districts that said, we don't want military recruiters from the American military on campus. And they stuck to that position, which they said was a position of policy and values. And then when the Bush administration said, then you're going to lose federal funds, the minute these liberal folks who decided to be activists on it saw the prospect of losing money, they threw their values right out the window, and they got with the program, and they let the military recruiters back on campus. That's Mike Howell, who is former oversight counsel at Department of Homeland Security, now with the Heritage Foundation. We'll be right back.